Has the Fraser Valley real estate market really hit its bottom and is back on the uptrend, or is this just a brief pause before it continues to crash down? We're seeing tons of new listings going back to the strategy of the previous year where they're underlisting the price, holding off on offers in order to generate multiple offers and ideally a subject-free offer. And in certain circumstances, we're seeing as high as 54 offers on a property. So does this mean that things have turned around and prices are going back to the moon? Or is this just what many of the local bears are calling it, a dead cat bounce? Well, in order to actually create an opinion, we're gonna have to look into the data. So let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Alex Dunbar here, your favorite Surrey Langley realtor, back with another video. And today I've got for you a market update in the Fraser Valley as things have gone haywire. With home prices falling for the past year, ever since the peak in February of 2022, due to the increasing interest rates, we've finally seen a month with increased prices. But the market data right now is extremely interesting due to the fact that just 1 year ago in February, as I mentioned, we were at peak prices. And now today, being 1 year later, the year-over-year numbers look like the worst they've ever been. However, looking at the month-over-month data, this is the first month in 12 months that we've actually seen an increase in prices. And on top of that, in the market itself, at ground level, we're seeing tons of activity with dozens of showings during open houses, multiple offers, and even the return of subject-free offers. So what's really going on? Well, first I want to dive into the data. So let me share my screen with you. So first of all, I just want to do a quick review of the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board stats package for the month of February of 2022. Signs of stability in the Fraser Valley creates opportunities for home buyers and sellers. Home prices in the Fraser Valley posted a slight but positive bump in February after nearly a year of month-over-month decreases, as I mentioned. Similarly, sales, though still trending lower than normal, also recorded their first monthly gain since October. The Fraser Valley Real Estate Board processed 898 sales on the MLS in February, an increase of 43.5% over January. Again, this is some of the lowest numbers in 20 years, but still only half as many as the previous year, which was a record high. So this isn't really telling us much. However, it does show that it is trending in a positive direction. February new listings were also up by 5.7% over the last month to 1,938, but 48.2% lower than this time last year. Active listings grew by 7% over January and by 16.3% over February of 2022. So what I want to mention here is that we still have significant low numbers of inventory, which with the increased buyer demand, or at least the number of buyers who have come off the sidelines, as I don't believe that demand ever really went away, is still putting upward pressure on the market, and prices are at least helping it to stabilize. So moving on, with a sales to active listings ratio of 20%, the overall market was once again in balance. However, the ratio for townhomes was higher at 36%. This is crazy. So townhomes were at a 36% sales to active listings ratio. And so the market is considered in balance on the ratios between 12 and 20. So under 12% is a buyer's market, over 20% is a seller's market. We're seeing a crazy amount of activity in that townhome market. Additionally, properties spent between 7 and 12 fewer days on the market compared to last month, so selling 7 to 12 days faster, another sign that the market may be picking up. Across the Fraser Valley in February, the average number of days to sell a single family detached home was 36, 33 days for a townhome, and 32 days for an apartment. So homes are selling faster and for more, at least on a month-over-month basis. Now, something to keep in mind here is that typically we do see a decrease in prices seasonally in December and January. And as we head into the spring market, we generally see some sort of an increase in the number of listings as well as prices. However, we've seen anything but a normal market the past number of years, so it's difficult to say what exactly is happening. So are we returning to a more normal market? I think we may be. However, it's still hard to say, and we're going to have to see at least 3 months of data before we can make any sort of actual statements. Now, moving on, I want to take a quick look here at our chart, which we've got the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board days on market, as I just mentioned, so you can kind of see where it's coming. It's significantly dropped down. Now, it's showing that these numbers are significantly up over the past year, but keep in mind, that was the absolute peak of the market, so it's not 100% relevant in the sense that we're looking at one of the craziest markets ever on record. However, what I do want to quickly go over is the benchmark prices. So year over year, as I mentioned, down 21.5% for detached, down 13.8% for townhomes, and down 10.5% for apartments. However, as you can see, we have a slight uptick in the month-over-month numbers for the Fraser Valley. So if we go back to our statistics package, we can see that single-family detached homes increased by 0.5%, however, decreased by 21.5%, so two very drastically different numbers. Townhomes increased by 0.4%, whereas they decreased by 13.8% compared to the previous year, and then apartments increased by 1.3% compared to a decrease of 10.5% compared to last year. Now, one thing I want to point out is that we are using benchmark prices for this calculation. Benchmark prices typically trail behind and they don't show as much variance. However, they're a better overall indicator of the market versus the month-to-month changes. So if we were to look at average prices, we can see that actually detached homes, based off this data, bottomed per se in November, right? Because the benchmark prices actually trail, the data trails what's actually happening. Typically it happens 1 or 2 months behind, or it shows up 1 or 2 months afterwards. Now we can see similar numbers in both the townhome and condo market as well when we look at average. Now, if we look at the year-over-year numbers, they're a little bit more substantial, which I think is actually more reflective, because if we look at prices, if we were to compare two identical homes in February of last year versus February of this year, I can tell you that most of the time they're going to be a higher difference than what it shows in benchmark pricing. But I digress. Now I want to take a quick look at some of the actual communities and cities. So looking at Surrey itself and its 4 distinct areas, we've got South Surrey coming in at close to 1.8 million, Central Surrey, or around the Fleetwood and Bear Creek area, at just over 1.4 million, Cloverdale sitting around 1.4 but just below, and then North Surrey at the bottom at about $1.36 million. Now, looking at the benchmark prices, we can see a bit of an uptick in all the markets except for the South Surrey and White Rock market. So that is pretty interesting. South Surrey has definitely looked like it's held its values, some of the best, and this is definitely apparent looking at its year-over-year decreases in comparison to the other markets. Now, additionally, I want to take a look into the Langley market, which is showing a similar trend, and if we actually put this out to a 10-year, it makes it a little more apparent. So very slightly, but an uptick in prices this last month, with detached homes being around 1.47 million, townhomes being just over 800,000, and apartments being just under 560,000. Now, if we're to take a look at the average prices, we can see once again, was November the bottom of the market, at least for detached homes, potentially. But we won't know until we get through this period of time and look back. It's too early to say, but very interesting data nonetheless. So what exactly is happening? Why are we seeing this uptick in activity and prices, and what does this really mean? If you read any of the media headlines right now, they're probably telling you that the real estate market is absolutely in the dumps and is only going to trend further downwards. But if you talk to a lot of realtors out there, they're probably telling you that the bottom has already passed and we're headed back upward. Now, while it's very difficult to predict, and I think there's a few things in the upcoming months that is really going to dictate what happens over the rest of the year, here's my thoughts. I personally don't think we've quite reached the bottom yet. And this is for a variety of reasons. First of all, I don't think we've actually seen the full extent of what the interest rate hikes are going to do to this market. In general, it takes about 12 to 18 months to actually see the outcome of an interest rate hike. And due to the fact that we're only really around the 1-year mark from the start of the interest rate hikes, how can they have fully taken effect? Now, for the time being, there is 2 reasons why we're seeing the current market activity. Number one being the fact that the Bank of Canada has announced a conditional pause on interest rates. However, I actually think we're going to see another 1/4 or 1/2 point increase before the end of the year. But many people looking into the real estate market have heard this announcement by the Bank of Canada, and at least are feeling more confidence in the fact that we're not going to see substantial raises in interest rates. And many actually believe we'll see decreases in interest rates before the end of the year. However, I don't really think we will, but we'll just have to see. It's really going to depend on the inflation data. One argument is the fact that the US has said they're going to continue to increase rates, and most of the time Canada follows suit. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the economics behind this, but if the US increases rates and Canada doesn't, this decreases the value of the Canadian dollar. And that's generally not something that we like to see. And that's something that the Canadian government is definitely taking into account. Now, the other major reason why we're seeing this stability or slight increase in prices is the fact that we're at significantly low levels of inventory. Currently, we're at just under 4,000 active listings. Now, in a typical market, to see things balanced or slightly shift into a buyer's market, we need around 6,000 active listings. That means we need an increase of 50%, which is a massive number and isn't going to happen overnight. So basically, in my opinion, in the next couple of months, if we do see a significant increase in the number of new listings leading to active listings, I think we'll see further decreased pressure on prices. However, if inventory remains at levels similar to this, I don't see any way that prices can fall further. Additionally, we live in such a sentiment-based market that as soon as one person hears that other people are re-entering the market, it signals them that they feel like they should due to the fact of fear of missing out. And the same works in the opposite direction. When nobody wanted to buy a home, this news traveled quickly and others wanted to do the same. So the next couple of months are going to be very interesting, and it's really going to come down to if we see that increase in inventory or not. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear what you think. Leave a comment down below. Is the market going to continue to crash down, or are we back on an uptrend? And if you did get any sort of value from this video, all I ask is that you hit that thumbs up button so I can get this information out to more individuals just like yourself who want to learn more about real estate. And if you are considering buying or selling in Surrey, Langley, or the rest of the Fraser Valley, you can scroll down to click the first link in the description and book a call with me at a time that works best for you. And before you go, make sure to check out another video on my channel, hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one, and we'll see you in the next video.